Entitlement reaches all walks of life, as you'll find out in this episode of Entitled People. Our first one is from Seraphim Sphinx. Our town has a children's museum. It's cute, full of activities from baby through 9 or so. The baby and toddler areas have gates that latch for obvious reasons. Well, Karen decided she would use authority to have her toddler leave. So she opens the toddler gate and tells her child it's time to leave now. Well, her kid doesn't move and clearly wants to stay and play. Instead of closing the gate, retrieving the toddler, and going on with life, Karen decided to hold the gate open and start demanding her toddler listen. So of course, other toddlers book it out, and Karen continues to hold the gate open and does nothing to prevent this, and just keeps yelling at her kid. Instant chaos as parents and a grandparent scramble out to catch the escaped tots. Toddlers are running to open elevators, to balconies, into the manager's office, and my child was booking it towards the stairs. I am about to catch her when she ducks into the art room, messy but safe, and I notice a toddler nearly to the stair landing, which are 2-story and stone. Glance quickly to see Grandma going as fast as she can, but nowhere near fast enough, so I leave my kid to her painty fate and snatch up Darius, and deliver him to a grateful grandma. I hear a dad say, "Close the gate!" as he has one twin in surfboard meltdown, and another just booked it out of the gate towards me and the paint room. This Karen then yells at him that it's not her job to watch his kids. She's got 3 of her own to handle. She is still holding open the gate. I'm acting as a shepherd of sorts between toddlers and the stairs. Paint is everywhere, with unsupervised tots not wearing their paint-proof smocks going hog wild. Apparently my daughter's favorite color is yellow. With this sudden chaos, a manager came to see what was happening, and 2 dads point to Karen, who finally picked up her child and shut the gate. Karen then tells the manager how she felt unsafe because the dad who yelled closed the gate, and demands action. By then, I head over, yellow gremlin in arms as all the tots are corralled, and me and Grandma back up the dads and say how irresponsible her behavior was. Karen then launches into a tirade about how it's not her job to watch all of our children. The manager tells her she is banned and she starts screaming, so security gather her and her 3 kids and march them out. I feel bad for her children, but honestly girl, how entitled do you have to be? A simple, "I'm sorry I froze when the kids ran out," "I wasn't thinking straight," literally anything. But she wanted to act like she was a victim of unsafe after releasing half a dozen toddlers into dangerous situations. Edit to add, I've had a few women named Karen reach out to me and explain the vitriol they've experienced just for having that name, from doctors to waiters to complete strangers. They are instantly maligned. I believe the stories of the women reaching out to me, so personally, I'm done using Karen as a shorthand for an entitled person behaving poorly and demanding a manager. I guess I'm not shocked that the Karen is playing the victim when she's the one that literally opened the gate and let all the kids run free to begin with. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if in her mind, her entitlement level was expecting other people to also get her kid. And our final one is by The Quarantinian. When I was a property shepherd for banks that foreclosed on properties, I was often asked to see if the occupants would accept money in exchange for surrendering the property in clean, intact condition and skipping the eviction. I had nothing to do with the foreclosure or eviction, and they used me because the lawyers charged hundreds of dollars an hour for that kind of thing. They prepared the offer. I presented it. If they said yes, the bank sent me a check. I inspected the house, and if it was clean and intact, I handed over the check. Important note, there was an eviction clock running. If I did not report that they had complied with the agreement, the eviction would proceed. They did not stop that process unless I was successful. So I was helpless to grant extra time to move out beyond the agreement says to be out by the 14th. You're working hard, the bank is closed. I can come back first thing in the morning, and if you're done, I'll release the check and tell the bank you complied. I was dealing with a couple in a 4,000 square foot house. They had been fighting the foreclosures, then fighting the eviction, and the bank and lawyers were sick of them. I delivered the offer, $3,500 to be out in 2 weeks. It was explicitly clear that I was not from the bank. I was not from the lawyer's office. They showed up at my office anyway and tried to convince us to sell them the house. The house which was not for sale, which they couldn't afford or they wouldn't be facing eviction, which wasn't ours. They didn't like any of those truths, said we had better start checking under our car before starting it up, and stormed out. They wanted the money, and I always did what little I could to help people make the deadline. I always offered to come by a few days early and point out what needed to be clean. Normal wear and tear? No problem. Stained carpet? This isn't a security deposit, so unless it was a fresh, intentional stain, I didn't care. Missing fixtures? That's a problem. Unswept floors? Problem. Bag of rotting food in the garage? You get the picture. I went over for a pre-inspection. Not even close. I pointed out what needed to happen. They asked if they could have the check now to hire cleaners, and they would totally have it ready in time. Being ugly, not stupid, I declined and said I would see them on the date they agreed to. I show up. They hadn't cleaned up anything since my previous visit. They demanded the check anyway. They worked hard to come up with excuses. They were tired after threatening to kill me with a car bomb. They needed the money for the down payment on another house. Won't I do them a favor? They will do anything for the check, except clean. I marked them non-compliant and left, returning the check to the lawyer's office. A week later, the lawyer's office told me I was free to take possession of the house and start my processes. Still lots of trash, grime everywhere, many missing light fixtures. Best of all, they had taken all of the towel racks and toilet paper holders, ripping them straight out of the wall, along with significant chunks of drywall. They sure taught me a lesson by damaging a house that wasn't mine, and for skipping at best 3 hours of cleaning, they lost out on $3,500, even though they deserved that money for being stressed. I mean, I get ending up in a foreclosure and eviction process has to be a really shitty situation, but if you're literally being offered money to clean up, you'd think clean up, take the money, and not have an eviction on your record. It's crazy that they felt entitled to money that they technically didn't even earn or try to work for. Alright, that's enough entitlement for the day. Well, that wraps up this episode of Entitled People. If you liked the video, please drop a like. Share my content on all of your social media, subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to hit that bell so you're notified every time I upload, and drop a comment down below. It really helps with the algorithm and helps new people find my channel. Thanks for watching, thanks to my patrons and super thanks contributors. Have a great day and stay safe out there.